while I muster up the courage and the words to share such golly, I don't even know what to call it. I can call it embarrassing, I can call it embasing, I can call it scary. I definitely can say it was something very traumatic, and it's something I think I need to reveal. I'm gonna eat some soup that I made. Here's the soup. This is some okra soup. If you follow me, yes, I am very new to YouTube. I tried YouTube like a decade ago. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just singing on a horrible mic. My hair was cute though, but I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what to do with YouTube. I couldn't even realize the equipment. I didn't know what I was doing, so I sound really crazy. The mic sound very distorted. So I was like, but it's still there. I was like, okay. Got like 2 or 3 views. So I was like, oh, you know, well, somebody seen me. But this is okra soup. I made a video about it. If you do like soup or you like cooking and you never tried to make your own soup, you might want to go check that video out. I give you detail to detail from beginning to end on how to make this. This is one of the best soups I've ever tried in my life. And it's pretty much more vegetable than meat. Has crab meat in it and vegetables. So just go check that video out, and I will guide you on how to make this, and you will not regret it and thank me later. This is comfort food for me. So this comfort food is going to help me to get this out. I guess you can say it's going to, hopefully, I might have to stop. If I get emotional, please allow yourself just to see a pretty girl cry, I guess. Let's get into it. So let me take a bite. It's hot, so as you can see, it's steaming. So good. I can do this. So, in my early 20s, I was going through hell. I guess it was written off as identity crisis, getting to know who you are as a person, and it was one of the scariest things that I've ever experienced in my life. I was alone, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I didn't know who God was. Spiritually, I believed in what everybody else told me to believe in through fear, which was Christianity. So I did. Went to church. I went to church, and I was in hopes that going to church would help me to understand what I was experiencing. And at the time, I didn't know if it was or wasn't. You know, the more I talked to those who pretty much were church-going people, they told me, oh, that's just the devil attacking you, and, you know, the devil doesn't want you to go to church and believe in God, da 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 da. So, I continued to go to church. I just went to a different church, hoping to feel more at home, you know, to possibly find a sisterhood, to find a tribe, to find some connection with people, just the human race. And I failed. I failed at that. Or should I say the church failed me. After going to church for about a year. I was told so many times that something was wrong with me. The devil was going to try to keep me from going to heaven, and all this hoopla gibberish. So I was still on earth, so I figured, okay, the devil can't win on this one. So I went to the mental hospital because what I was experiencing in my early 20s was something that I've never heard anyone talk about. I've seen shows and movies that express such detail, but I never in my life heard or met anyone, still to this day, who experienced what I experienced, which was very devastating. It was traumatizing. It was paralyzing as a young woman in this world, especially a young African descent individual in this world, just trying to figure out how to manage, life, how to understand life, how to understand myself. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. The definition that came to me and that I researched with schizophrenia was a person who has schizophrenia, basically a person who is off the spectrum of conscious mobility, of dignity and thinking, and being an upright citizen in the world, someone who can function amongst people, so forth and so forth. And basically my hemispheres were off. My brain was not functioning like normal human beings, so to speak. So I was not considered a human being on earth who was functional for society. And the psycho-schizophrenic part, it threw me for a loop because I'm a person who believes to live and let live. And when I tell you I was diagnosed with psycho-schizophrenia, the definition of psycho-schizophrenia is someone who thinks about suicide and thinks about killing and harming other people. So, let me take a bite of soup, you guys. It's crazy. Lord have mercy on my soul. The reason why I wanted to share this video, and I've been wanting to do a video for the longest, because after being diagnosed with schizophrenia, I took medication for it. The medicine was crap. The medicine actually led me to researching holistic ways of mental balance and physical emotional healing, because the medicine it gave me had me out of my head. It had me having horrible dreams. I could not sleep, had no appetite. It was worse than just physically feeling the feelings of just being disoriented. I rather had been so-called psycho-schizophrenic opposed to taking the medicine, which caused me to be out of my humanity in my mind and not having a balanced mind for just everyday functions. And it didn't allow me to sleep, so I was very sleep deprived. I had no appetite, so I was very malnutritioned. It was bad. So I said to myself, one day I'm gonna get the courage to I am so trying not to cry. It's so crazy. I see people on TV and I see people talking about their traumas and their bad relationships and horrible friendships, and I always have this sense of, I wish I could be that brave to talk about the things that have gone array and wrong in my life that has caused me to have a difficult time or struggle with just being a woman, being a mother, being a friend, being a daughter, being a sister, just being a human being, like a conscious, present human being. And it's not because of pride, like I don't want nobody to know I'm going through something. When I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, it was new to me, as an African American descent in the States. It's not something you hear about. in your neighborhood. It's not something you hear about in a community that's talking about like pregnancy. Girl, who guess who's pregnant? Or girl, guess who opened up a store? Or girl, guess who's working at this job? Blah, blah, blah. It wasn't something that was just common to talk about, so it was not an easy approach to it. So it was just something I put on the back burner. I didn't really concern myself with trying to share it with people unless I felt that somebody was struggling. So that was my reason of wanting to make the video, because I figured, going through what I went through, if I could help somebody else just kind of have a sense of reasoning with themselves before giving up on themselves, or just life in general, then I feel like I've done something great. So excuse me if I tear up or if I hesitate to finish my sentences, because it just, talking about this just kind of reminds me of how I got through it, and I didn't have nobody on my side understanding what I was going through and encouraging me to push through it. I kind of went through it by myself, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who experience such things, and they maybe are afraid or just don't know how to talk about it with other people or to other people that are maybe in their immediate surrounding circles or support group or not support group. I didn't have the greatest support group, I'm not gonna lie. My family really didn't dive deep into it. If I was on the other end and I seen my family going through something like I was experiencing, I would have did a lot of research. And I didn't see anybody pick up a book or Google anything about what I was going through. So I kind of went through it by myself. I got a lot of passive attention, but I was crying out. I was like, I'm going through hell. I'm having all these visions, having these dreams. I'm having the psychoschizophrenic part when it comes to, they say you are delusional about life. I think everybody is delusional about life, honestly. Schizophrenic, diagnosed, or sane, as they would say. Because there's a lot of people, even I was going through it in silence. I was able to sit outside and just kind of pay attention to people, because a lot of times I just didn't really have anything to say, because I was trying to figure it out for the most part. So I was in my head a lot. And I noticed a lot of people were just as insane as I was, or delusional about what is real than as I was. So it's kind of like, well, I guess we all are schizophrenic. Unfortunately for me, I was given medicine that just distorted the stability that I was gaining through. I was in, like I said, in my early 20s. Who really knows themselves in their early 20s? Like, no one. I don't care who you are. You are learning what you like, what you don't like, who you are, what you think you are, what you know you're not. You're learning so much about yourself in your early 20s. So to be diagnosed with a diagnosis, a title, a description of you're a dangerous person to other people and yourself, when nobody really knew me and I didn't really know myself, to tell someone that is very distorting and it's very hindering to someone in their 20s, just really actually opening their eyes for the first time to know how to be a responsible human being, or what even that is. So when I first started taking the medicine, Seroquel, and when I got the medicine of Seroquel, I took two different types of prescriptions. The first one, I can't even remember what it was, honestly, because I only took it for a short time. When I started having dreams of being drowned, my ears started to pop, and when my ears started popping and cracking and I was having nightmares, I stopped taking it. I was like, it's not worth it. And the second prescription I took was Seroquel, and when I took the Seroquel, it made me so drowsy. And when I talked to the doctor told me that I was sleep deprived. And I'm like, duh. Like, anybody who has nightmares or is sleep deprived, any mother, single mother at that, because I was single at the time going through the worst, you're sleep deprived. You're not getting sleep because you're trying to figure out what's going on in your head. Doctors really cannot tell you, and they won't tell you. They give you a script of what everybody else is going through by misdiagnosis. Is my personal experience, because I looked at what I was diagnosed as. I ain't never put a hand on a person in a vicious way. Only time I've ever protected or hurt somebody, it was out of protection of myself. You know, somebody trying to attack me, I'm going to put my hands up and fight for myself. But just to viciously pinpoint people want to cause harm to them, I'm like, if that's y'all diagnosis, don't believe that. If you have ever been diagnosed with schizophrenia, don't take on the characteristics that they tell you that you have. I was told, and this was after years of experience, just distortion. Like I didn't like I'm a very creative person. I didn't feel like being creative. I was going to church. I did not feel connected to the people at church. I felt like everybody was fraud. Everybody was pretending to put on a show for a God that they believed will serve them, opposed to them serving God. I just sat back and was very observant, and everything that I was ever told didn't make sense to me anymore. So instead of me meeting somebody who was a spiritual advisor or a spiritual guru, I was told, oh, the reason why you don't see the church the way that you see it, everyone else is because you're delusional. It's like, you sure it's me that's delusional? Because it looks a little different on this end. Like, that's where I was at. So I didn't think about wanting to hurt anybody. I didn't trust anybody. I didn't feel that people were honest. So the diagnosis, if I believed the diagnosis and I allowed the diagnosis to be the makeup of who I was, then it probably would have did more damage than good. Like, I feel like when I was told this diagnosis, I was like, dang, you know, like, shit, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm pretty passive towards people, you know, because I don't feel that people are honest. And I don't feel like I got the greatest people around me right now, because nobody was checking in on me, or nobody, it seemed like the people around me were seeing me fall apart, because I was pretty much a very well-to-do person like I am now. Like, I feel like I've gotten back to myself because I stopped listening to people. But at the time, I was crying out so much that I couldn't even hear my own reasoning with myself of what I was going through. So it was like, I'm asking questions to people and they weren't answering questions. They were just giving me an idea of what I look like to them. Mind you, I was always the person that did my hair. I was always the person who wore makeup. I was always the person who had the nice clothes on. You know what I mean? I was always the outgoing person. But at this particular time in my life, I didn't talk much. I would stare off into space. I ended up being colorblind for a little bit. Colors did not coordinate to me. Food was not appetizing to me. Like I said, I was sleep deprived. I wasn't the friendliest outgoing person. I wasn't a mean, just nasty bitch, but I just didn't find myself. I didn't find myself interested in this, the regular, everyday, regular type of activity. I was just very observant. So, people was like, oh, you're different. You think you all that, you being bougie. And I was just like, if you only knew what was going on in my mind right now, I'm scared. You know, I'm scared for y'all. I'm scared for myself. I'm scared for this world. I'm scared. Like, I felt like God was allowing me to see the future. And unfortunately, in African American communities, we are very passive, brush things under the rug at times when it comes to emotional deficiencies. So if you're anybody who's ever experienced what they call schizophrenia, basically your schizophrenia is, you're not crazy. You're not psycho. You're not dumb. You're not belligerent. You're not unaware of yourself or human nature. You're just hypersensitive. You know, after going to the doctor and hearing their determinations and diagnosis and giving medicine, I just told myself, Siobhan, you are very spiritual. And your spirituality, you just didn't get, almost knocked that over. Spiritually, you just didn't get a introduction to what spirituality was. So my soul was trying to wake me up. And so it wasn't that I was crazy. It wasn't that I wasn't aware of myself. It wasn't that I was psycho, schizophrenic, wanted to kill myself or kill other people. It was simply me being overly sensitive to the things that was needed of me, of other people in my community and my family, and I wasn't getting it. So anybody who is in their right mind naturally become passive towards people who are not blessing them, helping them, uplifting them, encouraging them. But people like myself, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia, we get this, this stamp on our heads like, oh, y'all crazy. And I'm like, no, it wasn't at all anything crazy about what I was going through. It was things that weren't explained being showed to me, and I had to make sense of it, or I would have lost my mind. So if you do have schizophrenia and you've been diagnosed with medicine, I'm gonna tell you this. I took medicine twice, very early on, and I started having horrible dreams. If you have dreams, that's your soul and your spirit in the universe trying to show you things about your psyche, about how your mind works, how your brain works, how you process things, how you receive things, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And sometimes when you're not getting it in your waking life, your spirit gives you dreams to make sense of it. And sometimes we don't get to catch up with our dreams or ourselves consciously. So we just kind of forget the dreams. And the medicine, the dreams had me so far off in space, excuse me, that I knew I wasn't ready for oh god, that was hot. Oh shit. Ooh, I got a large piece of jalapeno. Okay, wait a minute. Ooh, okay. So I wasn't ready because I didn't get an introduction. So it was just like everything open at one time. So and I was more introverted. Like some people, from what I've read, what I've watched, what I've discovered, what I researched, some people are very out with their schizophrenia. I was very introverted because observation, when you're schizophrenic, I'm just going to put this out there so most people who might be going through it or have experienced it, that you can see is a natural thing. Yes, and I would tell anyone that it's natural. Once you fall short of this awakening is when you start to believe in the medicine and the doctor telling you that you're crazy and your family thinking you're crazy or so forth. No, you're just brave, because a lot of the people that I knew, when I started talking about certain things, their anxiety level went up. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why your anxiety level going up? I'm telling you what I went through. Like, you shouldn't be afraid. You didn't have to go through it. But and then it was like their automatic response was to insult me. It was like, whoa, okay. Please don't insult my intelligence, especially with your fear. So I had to learn very early on that I didn't care for people to believe me, but as any other right-minded human being, because I felt after time I was in my right mind, I was just observing something that other people couldn't be, knowledgeable of, nor intellectually able to put it in words. So as time went on, I realized that I couldn't talk about it. But when you are a person just of conscious mind and thought, whether it sounds crazy or mundane or just strange, like, you should be able to just talk about it without allowing yourself to get lost with what doesn't make sense, but just in acquiring or wondering or brainstorming. Like, life is not supposed to be so dun 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 when strange things are talked about, and schizophrenia is strange shit. I was a person who kind of kept it in. Like, it was moments where it would be so overwhelming, and I would get like these rush feelings of thoughts where if I didn't observe them or if I didn't think about it, I would be overwhelmed with anxiety. Like, my whole body would be filled with anxiety. It got to the point where I was keeping so much in that I would have blackouts. And that was scary. It was scary because in turn, honestly, it was another reason why I was having sleep deprivation, because when I was alone, I was afraid to go to sleep because I didn't think I was going to wake up at times. I was so overwhelmed with thoughts, emotions, oversynthesized, like, sensory was so overwhelming to me, but having no comfort around me or nobody to give me just the comfort, anxiety level was like on 1,000, like on 100, like beyond. And I had to get myself out of those things. And yeah, I had to get myself out of those things. So it's like, I could remember, like, if I was in public, I would always turn my phone down, and just so it would ring. And whenever I got a surge of energy, or a surge, and when I say energy, it's not like I was euphorically appeased or happy. I was overwhelmed. It felt like I was working a 9 to 5 overtime without pay. Like, it was so much stress on my brain, on my soul, on my heart. And going to the doctors and taking medicine did not help me. It just stressed me out more, because I'm thinking, okay, I got this medicine. Woo! Like, it's like if you got a headache, you take medicine, you're like, oh, thank God it's about to be over with. But it never ended. It never ended. As long as I thought the way the doctors told me that I thought, as long as I looked at the idea of what schizophrenia or schizophrenia was, it was never over. I had to color a whole new page. And when I started doing that, it became easier for me as a human being and as a woman, because I really realized that schizophrenia is just something when you're getting abstract thoughts that you don't have time to explain. So the first couple years, I was in that heavy, like, diagnosis. I'm schizophrenic. Oh Lord, what am I going to do with myself? Took the medicine. Like, I'm cool on that. Started trying to find alternatives. When I would go out in public, like I was saying, turning my phone down, I would pick up my phone and just act like I was talking to somebody. And I had to get creative, because people who are schizophrenic, they talk in their head and then they'll start talking out their mouth. And for somebody that's just standing on the side, a bystander, they would be like, the hell is wrong with this person? Because the person would say random things. Mind you, these thoughts are not warranted. They're just random thoughts at times that have no purpose, no place, nor could they be a thing that even was relevant to the individual. So at times, knowing those, which some call episodes, I experienced trying to figure out a way to de-stress by speaking in the moments that I felt overwhelmed. And like I said, it would be in the randomest moments. So I've turned my phone down, because I didn't want to just pick my phone and start talking. I said, I'm talking to myself on my phone, and the phone rang. They were like, this girl talking to herself. Like, what? Girl, are you crazy? So I would turn my phone down, and I would just, I would make up something, like, when it would start to overwhelm me. Because normally when I would be by myself, like if I was at home, I would go through what felt like seizures. And I realized I would get those experiences because I wasn't able to talk about it. So it's just like when somebody doesn't understand you, and it's screaming on the inside, and you hit a wall, or you break something, or you argue with your kids, or you argue with your man or your woman, whatever it is, it's because you got to get those feelings into words to be able to talk about it, so you can de-stress, come out of that overwhelming sensory, and just breathe. And for the most part, most people who are schizophrenic, who don't have a support system, or feel like it's an embarrassment to talk about it, they don't get those moments. And I had to be creative, and I had to think outside the box. And I would get on my phone in public, and I'll say, okay, I'll be on my way in a minute. I'm just going to the gym in a little bit, because I need to work off some stress. Yeah, I know how it can be. It can be very difficult when you have little ones you look after. But you know what? You just got to keep on making it. I know. And I would do that. And I know nobody on the outside knew I wasn't talking to nobody. They thought she was on the phone talking to her sister. They thought I was on the phone talking to, a family member or a friend. They didn't know. But that was my way of not letting it build up in my head and getting it out. In moments where I was, like I said, when I would be at home, if it was overwhelming, I would seem like I felt like I was in a tunnel at times. And your peripheral vision it's expanded. You can see everything I see on my camera. I can see the sides. I can see everything around me. When I would have episodes where it felt like I would have heart palpitations at first, and my heart would speed up, then I would start watering. My mouth would start watering. And when my mouth started watering, I would get like ringing in my ears. My eyes would start to feel tight and dry. My skin would start to feel clammy, and I would feel like I would get flashes, like if somebody was changing a TV channel 100,000 miles per hour. And then I would go into these moments where I would kind of like be in a daze, and I would have to tell myself, I used to pinch my hand or crack my knuckles to come out of the moments of it, because I didn't have nobody on the side of me going, Siobhan, you okay, girl? Come out of that. Where are you at? I'm right here with you. I was going through this shit by myself. And sometimes it hurts me to talk about it, because I was amongst people and everybody told me their problems, but nobody seen that I was going through something. Like, girl, you used to be doing this. Are you okay? Like, nobody asked. It's like everybody was afraid to help me get out of something that I didn't deserve. But that's why you got to, sometimes you got to figure it out. Give me a second. Boom. Can you see me? So I'm just gonna change the camera angle. So I had to figure it out on my own, and I just had to make it work. After some times, the anxiety will be on 10. Like my tongue would start to tingle, my mouth would start to water, my skin would start to clam up. I would feel like I'm in water. It was the weirdest shit, man. So when people say they're schizophrenic, when I hear people like joke about it, I don't think it's funny at all, because I'm like, if you would really experience schizophrenia, but there's no healing for it, you gotta tell me, no, you can be healed, trust me, because all it is an altered mindset of what reality really is. And most people don't know what reality is, because most people base reality on the ideas of what they think about others or what they think about God, and church ain't the answer. So you going to church thinking it's reality, and they give you this false narrative of the creator. It's so much stress behind it. It's like, what is real? The trees are real, the air is real, the sun is real, the moon is real, you're real. It would be many times that I would just touch my hands and I would do this thing like this, and I would tell myself I am alive. Whatever I was going through, I'm not going through no more. I am a good person. I deserve health. My mind is going through some things that is not going to last. It's not going to be forever. Just focus on what's important. Don't let nobody make me feel unimportant. Don't make anybody make me feel like I'm less than a human being or a woman or beautiful, because I'm brave. And that's saying that God picks his strongest soldiers for his biggest battles. When I say that, some real shit. Like, I beg people to not play around with mental health. I done experienced people, family members, playing for a check, playing crazy for a check and all that shit. And I'm thinking to myself, how insulting that is to watch a person play a victim of a mental disability for money, when there are real people such as myself who suffered with it. Like, suffered. Like, I was going through hell. My mind was too busy to think of suicide. Because I had to think about what I was doing every 5 minutes. I had to count my steps. I had to tell myself that I'm brushing my teeth, to drink water. It was days that I went without food, because it's almost like the schizophrenia took over my natural ability and my innate senses to think. So I had to tell myself, you didn't eat today, make sure you wash your face, make sure you brush your teeth. And I had to be an overthinker to make sense of what it was that I needed just in my everyday life. And where it took a turn for me, because it does get better. I would tell you 100%, it does get better. You don't expect it when you're going through it, because everything seems so dark and numb that it just seems like every day is your last day. And I'm grateful to my ancestors, and I'm grateful to my highest self that I didn't give up on myself, because unfortunately, in the moment, I would hear all these stories about suicide, and it just started to drill in my brain. Like, you know what I mean? I'm thinking, it's not that bad. I'm not lost. I stopped going to church. I stopped talking through God, through the idea of telling somebody else my prayer and thinking they're going to go tell God. That didn't make no sense. That was like, why would I tell someone else, about what I feel about myself or God and have them go deliver the message? And I can just talk to God directly. So I stopped doing the Christian thing. I stopped going to church, listening and watching the pastor get up and dance and doing rap versions of his sermons. I started meditating. I started getting into Zen. After the second time of taking schizophrenic medicine, it was Seroquel, and I took it for maybe 3 days, and I got some of the most paralyzing sleep. And it felt good because the weeks prior I wasn't getting really good sleep, and it felt good to sleep. But when I was trying to just be every day, doing things that I would normally do a day, I was so drained that I felt like the medicine wasn't helping me. It was just draining me. Like, it was forcing me to go to sleep, opposed to allowing my natural senses to work and develop my hormones to sleep, and my serotonin and my melatonin. It wasn't allowing me just to be in my natural element of rest, to where I took 30-day supply and didn't take any more. And then, crazy as it is, I had to realize that although I took the Seroquel, after maybe a week, almost went in my second week of taking it, I wasn't getting no sleep no more. So that told my soul that, yay, I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but schizophrenia is a description that the Western philosophers and doctors and physicians tell you when they don't understand you. It helps them to get a check. So being that I wasn't getting sleep anymore, that was the main reason why the doctor was like, well, we're going to give you Seroquel because this is going to help you sleep. And I was telling the doctor, I'm just full of anxiety. It's not that I feel this schizophrenia. It's not that I want to kill somebody or even kill myself. I just am I'm a single mother. It's almost like I was learning myself again, which we all go through a period in our time in our lives where we are learning who we are, because most of the time we've lived through other people, what other people thought of us, or other people's views and descriptions of us and judgments. So I was like, I feel like I'm learning myself again. I feel like I have these two little beings I got to take care of. I'm overwhelmed. I honestly wanted some anxiety medicine, but they was like, no, you're schizophrenic. And I was like, all right, whatever. So after 2 weeks of taking the medicine, it didn't work anymore. So I just was like, all right, God, this is a sign for me to understand that a man's diagnosis who has a title or description as a doctor or physician is not the all being. So what I need to do is really figure out and understand how to be in this world and how to be my best. So I took on the diagnosis, schizophrenia. I started researching natural herbs. I found ashwagandha. And ashwagandha saved my life. I found green tea. Green tea saved my life. I started using, and I've always drank green tea. I just didn't know the great benefits of it. I started using St. John's Wort's herb, Don Quay, natural remedies to aid my anxiety, because that was my reason of trying to go to the doctor in the first place, because I was overwhelmed with these thoughts that just weren't mine or not interesting or intriguing. I'm like, why? It's like being in a conversation that is not interesting to me, but I can't get out of it. That's what the schizophrenia, if I can describe it in a nutshell, that's what schizophrenia was to me. So do I consider myself being schizophrenia now? Not at all. That's why I got on YouTube some time ago to look at other people to see how they went about sharing their stories. And a lot of people are still in it. You know what I mean? They're still in the matrix of mentally being disturbed. And I understood I was mentally disturbed because my upbringing, like, I'm from TV to radio to the environment, from school, from a family, just from people that I considered friends. I'm just like, who would be mentally disturbed? So it didn't aid my growth. You know, I'm a very high intellectual individual. So instead of me thinking I was mentally deficient and that was the all be all, I realized I was deficient because I didn't have no mental interest in nothing that I was around. Nothing intrigued me. Just like a child who acts up in school, you know, in elementary school, and it's like, but once you put them in a classroom or give them a subject that they're so intrigued by, all that shit changes. Because now they have something to focus that intellect on and their intelligence on. And for me, at, you know, in my early 20s, none of the things the girls wanted to be thought, and I didn't want to be a thought. Everybody thought, Siobhan, you're gonna be the first one to have a kid, and I was the last one to have kids. You know what I mean? Everybody thought you're grown, you act grown. No, I act mature. So you acting grown equated to you gonna have kids first, or you were sexually active first. And I'm like, I didn't have my first child till I was 30. So it's just, when people don't understand you and you're wanting to understand more about people, about life, about spirit, about God, about humanity, whatever it is, about yourself, mind, body, soul, spirit, sometimes you have to ask yourself before you ask another, and you have to trust your own initial idea of your confusion, misunderstanding, or excitement of yourself, and assess it from that, because a lot of people won't understand you. They will just confuse you even more. So I can say that I'm healed. I do at times get anxiety, but I feel like anxiety, compared to being considered schizophrenic, anxiety to me is something normal. I think that people have it, and it's just being overwhelmed with just too much at one time. And I found that ashwagandha helps a lot with that naturally. I've taken the liquid ashwagandha, I've taken the tea ashwagandha, I've taken the gummies. I have taken it for years now. And for somebody who was diagnosed with schizophrenia, like, this girl going out and killing folks. Like, she ain't going to the club, she going out to slay for real. Like, no, I can kill the conversation because I'm not interested. And I've said that to professionals, I've said that to scholars, I said that to friends, family, foe. Like, I'm good. You know, I have a very humble heart. I'm a very upright human being. I have morals. I'm not no bore. You know what I mean? I'm not no ghoulish baboon. I am a person who really understands. A lot of people just don't understand their mind, and the doctor get a check because of that. So if you are struggling with your schizophrenia, take some ashwagandha. Start to meditate. Understand the confusion. You understand what you're confusing. Don't call it delusion. Confusion is, am I delusional or am I just confused? And if I'm confused, why am I confused about something that I'm really not interested in? Right. Why are you trying to show interest in something you're not interested in? Of course, you're going to be confused because your soul is saying, I don't care about this. So dismiss it. So if you are experiencing psychoschizophrenia, know first and foremost, anybody in your face, you're going to want to punch them. So don't let people in your face. If they on some bull, you know, give yourself more credit than a simple diagnosis from a person who don't know you. Don't ever let nobody give you a title of dismemberment of your identity before you even get to know yourself. Like, take your time with who you are. Get you some ashwagandha. Start writing a journal. That was another thing that kept me from losing my mind, kept me close to my senses. Writing and meditating. I started meditating. One thing about meditation, I started to see that my mind was very vast, like the Grand Canyon. And that can be scary at first because you see yourself in depths that you never got to see yourself in. So if you're having mental anxiety or mental exhaustion and your mind just opens up in this very vast way, it can be scary at first. But take your time, because you don't want to be your worst enemy. You want to be your best friend. So tell schizophrenia it ain't your friend no more. And if anybody want to try to joke around with it, look at them like they crazy, because that's silly for anybody to make fun of something like that, because it can be crippling, it can be paralyzing, and One thing that I'm not is ashamed, because what I've experienced and what God has opened my eyes to mentally, emotionally, spiritually, a lot of people ain't even graduated yet to it. So I can look at people and not so much belittle them, but I can look at people like, you have so much to learn about yourself that your advances to insult me are really irrelevant. It shows that you are just projecting, and your projection is, you should keep it to yourself. So God bless you. If you have gone through such things, if you have any questions, I will be so open to answer them. I went through it for, golly, almost 20 years. I went through trying to make sense of what it was that I went through after getting out of, because I was then intrigued by the strength that I had mentally, and I really wasn't aware of it because I had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. Like, no, I was slaying. I was dealing with some mental separation and some mental departure and some mental disconnections, you know. But schizophrenia, like, it's an interesting word. But anyways, your girl is well. I'm beautiful. I'm very, very, very keen on mental ability, capacity, expansion. Sometimes when you don't claim the diagnosis or the disease, it can only strengthen you. So what can kill you can only make you stronger, we'll say. So watch out, because I might be able to read your brain. God bless you. Much healing to you. Much self-awareness. And time to be aware, and time and peace to make sense of what you haven't been aware of. So God bless you. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, share, and hit that notification button. And if you know anybody that's going through mental disturbances where they can be patient enough to listen and not combat such simple healing, then please send them my way. I will be so grateful to be able to help somebody to overcome such diagnosis and insult to their true birthright of mental health. So, yeah. See you on the next video.
Remember to like and subscribe, you guys. See you next time.